Okay, so our next film, people, is The Last Cabin. Well, our first and only film, really. Yes, The Last Cabin. It is the new film, right, from Brendan Rudnicki. Brendan co-wrote the film with Kellan Rudnicki. The film is produced also by Brendan. Cinematography is handled by Brendan. Special effects, we have Tegan Crosley. Yeah, that's all the information we have, really, when it comes to all of that. Yeah, I don't think we've got anything anywhere else. Yeah, that's it. Right, but our cast, right? Our cast in the film, we have got, well, first we meet Dale, played by Austin J. Rhodes, and Amanda, played by Kyrie Cook. We also have got the property manager, played by John Fantasia. There is Hope, played by Isabella Bobadilla. Ben, played by Brendan Goshay. Their boss and the film's producer, Kevin, played by Benjamin L. Newark. Then there is their cameraman, right? Sean, played by Tana Kongdara. We have got who else is there? Well, our well, let's just say also in the film is Tatum Bates. Right, we got Kellan Rudnicki, he's in it as well. Dylan Devane. Irish Gardner. Tegan Crosley. And there is Daniel Wheeler as a podcaster that we meet. Right, so the gist of the feature, right? It's about a film crew retreating to a remote cabin only to find themselves hunted by mysterious figures who seem intimately familiar with both the terrain and the crew's movements. Boy, right, that's the film. And yeah, this is a found footage feature, right? As I say, we open up with two people, Dale and Amanda, and they're going on a trip. They're camping, they're hiking, and it doesn't seem to go well for them. Right, so from that we jump to our film crew, right? Our location scouts who are trying to find this a cabin suitable for the film. Not having any luck, and yeah, they stumble upon this. And it's like, I'd say, like the beginning bit with Amanda and Dale, that, the sequence, everything is fine, but you do think, who is filming that? Right? Like, we don't know who's filming this. But after that, once we get to the main body of the film, our film crew, that works because Sean is the cameraman, and he says, I've been asked to record everything. So, it makes sense. And then other characters take cameras at times. So, yeah, for the most part, right? Your viewing experience does make sense while, because it's coming from these different locations, right? So that part of the film, boom, it's all good. Now, there are moments in the film, right, where characters do certain things and you just be like, why would you do that? But it is referenced. Like, Ben is like, yo, look, we shouldn't do that because this happened. If you've seen a horror film, this happens, right? So I think we kind of lay out sometimes the actions of the people and everything like that. Now, you also take into consideration this is Hope's first kind of big break. So I think where you might go, but why would you not ask to see this, or why would you do that? Like, she is trying to impress her boss, right? She's up against it on the deadline. So I think when you kind of consider the character, the actions do make sense, right? Actions do make sense. So that all, is fine. Yeah, it works. And I think our reactions from the people, again, it works, right? Because you're just thinking, how would someone, if you're, in this situation, how would you react? What would you do? And I think like Hope is properly shook, right? Ben, he's obviously, again, he is, not happy with all of this, but he wants to help. But it's like, what do you do, right? When you have no weapons, you're stuck. Like, what would you do? Right? We have Sean worried. Right, there's a moment when the camera changes hands because of all of that. So you're just like, yes, the characters are doing essentially what you'd assume would happen in these scenarios. There are certain things where you're just like, I mean, a car still can run on flat tires, right? There's certain things where you're just like, wait, hold on. What about this? Right? Have you not thought about that? But yeah, I think what we do have is it's a solid feature, right? Like when you look, the guys that put this together, this is their 13th film, I believe. So they've worked a lot. They seem to like cabins, right? Although, is this a cabin or is it a house? Because I always assumed a cabin is kind of like a bungalow, like one level business, small. This is big and it's got an upstairs. So is this a cabin or is it a house? I don't know, people. I'm not sure what the definition, the difference is between house and cabin. But, yeah, I was hooked. There's some jumps, right? There's some moments where you're just like, yo, fuck. Okay. Which, worked. And I thought there was some nice little moments for some of the characters, right? Well, I mean, but I can't really. So I'm just going to say some of the characters. There's nice moments. You're like, yes, good. Because, would they not try, So I thought that was a nice little touch. The end of the film is interesting because we kind of jump to a new location. So that's interesting, although you kind of think to yourself, right? Like, I feel there would be more. Yeah, yeah, can't really say anything else on that. But it's not a bad ending. It's not a bad ending. Like, yeah, I thought for the most part everything is solid. The dialogue at times could be a little shaky, right? A little shaky, but said good acting. I think logical camera work, all of that helps build the atmosphere, right? Editing, the film is just over an hour. So it is very concise, which works. I don't think, like, this couldn't be 2 hours, right? Just because it wouldn't necessarily make any sense, right? Wouldn't make any sense. So I thought the duration of the film was perfect. There's a perfect amount of time. Yeah, cast was good. So the main elements worked. I think it's kind of like, if you think of Dagger, right? That we looked at the last year, wasn't it? I believe it was last year. Maybe it was 2023. Time is all like, ooh. But yes, like, if you enjoyed the Dagger, then I think you'll enjoy this. If you enjoyed Host, right, that which dropped, I think that was 2021, right? Yeah, if you enjoyed Host, I think you'd like this. Chad Gets the Axe. Any of those, films that have, done the found footage well, right? I think any of those, I think you'll enjoy. Daniel Bower's film. Oh gosh, what was the name of Daniel's film? But again, the disappearance of that person, right? Obviously, it wasn't the disappearance of that person. There was a name, but I can't think of the name. But yeah, if those films are the type of films you enjoy, then I think The Last Cabin will work for you. It is dropping on Tuesday the 29th of April. So mark it down on your calendar, right? Yeah, you might have a newfound footage joint for the collection. You know what I mean? So that is The Last Cabin.